We're talking to Mr. Sunil Godhwani, Chairman, Religare Enterprises. Mr. Godhwani, you recently announced an acquisition, a second acquisition in the US market, Landmark Partners, a boutique asset management firm. You're venturing into the US market in this segment of the business. It's a pretty mature market, and obviously there would be a business case behind doing this. Could you share with us, the drivers to really look at this particular segment in that market?
So, Mohit, the way, I think we need to take a step back and understand what Religare Enterprises is all about, I mean, in Religare Enterprises Limited, which is the listed entity, we have three businesses in there. The way we look at those are three pillars of growth. One being the Indian business, where we drive our growth in India, being the equity side, the capital market lending, the SME lending, and build up India as a core focus. We expand our business into India to make us a key player within the country. The second business we've looked at is to diversify and become an emerging market investment banking player. The third business, what we are referring to here, is the asset management business. You have to appreciate the fact that there is a huge amount of capital which is lying idle in the developed economies. And if you take $1 of that capital, I think doesn't really need a magic wand or a crystal ball to understand that the maximum output and the growth on that capital is going to happen in the emerging market segment. So we clearly saw this opportunity about 3 to 4 years ahead of time. I think when we were looking at the acquisition of AIG, we actually had a huge learning in what the asset management business in USA is. It's a very matured market. There's a lot of respect to that market, the way the business has evolved in the years over there. And we went through looking at about close to 100-120 companies within that space to really single down to two setup that we have done right now. We've done acquisition Northgate Capital, which was announced earlier, and then we have just signed up with Landmark Partners. Clearly, there's an opportunity for a lot of that capital being deployed into emerging markets. So we are looking to acquire in the next couple of years at least 8 to 10 other asset managers who would basically contribute to building a boutique multi-asset management platform that is going to use the funds from the developed economy and get it deployed for a better growth in the emerging economies. Let us not misconstrue what I'm saying is that we are looking to get in capital to flow into India. I think the question is not India, question is emerging market as a block today can be looked at as a single country. There's an opportunity for a lot of growth in this whole emerging market segment. And that is what we are targeting. That is what we really understand. And our specialities are. That is where the manpower we have gotten to work in Religare is focusing on that. So we will continue to build up the asset management platform to deploy the capital from the developed economies into the emerging markets where the alpha, the growth is going to be significantly more if it is deployed in that part of the world.
Clearly, the plan is very ambitious when you say 8 to 10 acquisitions in the next couple of years. What do you think would be the capital required to be committed, to finance all of these?
I think one of our previous board meetings, we have an allocation from the board to spend about $1 billion for acquisition of asset management companies. But that's a very broad number that's been given to us to do. We naturally will deploy it in the most careful manner so we get the maximum value addition from it. So I don't think we have a number of what we would need to acquire, but the question when I say 8 or 10, it could also mean a small acquisition. It does not necessarily mean a $10 billion, $15 billion AUM acquisition. It could mean even $2 billion. What we are looking to do is to get in all kind of money managers in it. So there can be distressed assets, there can be long-only equities, there can be just income funds, because we need to complete the entire basket of what we are trying to offer on the multi-manager platform. So you have to understand that today there are very credible pension funds, for example. And they have an opportunity when they go, they only deploy it to a secondary fund of funds or just a primary fund of funds or a private equity. We want to offer them an opportunity to deploy in one company which has an ability to use that capital in all the platforms across. So we need to complete our entire boutique of managers that use different procedures to deploy capital. So say we have a fund of funds, we have a secondary fund of funds, we're looking at distressed capital, long only equities would be there, and like that various hybrid other multi-managers. So once we have completed that, so it's 8 or 10 is a number that we feel should be enough to complete that. Whether that AUM grows to 100 billion, 60 billion or 150 billion is something we cannot commit today. But definitely it's an inorganic route. We will do the acquisition and then the teams work together to grow it organically.
The other business, of course, which is the other interesting business, is the investment banking franchise, which you're building pretty much across the globe. It's a lot of investment going into hiring blue-blooded or talent from blue-blooded banks, investment banks, top-tier talent. Clearly, there must be an objective in mind for building that business like that. But how do you see yourself distinguishing yourself, again, from other well-entrenched players who've been around for decades in those various markets, servicing clientele on the M&A product side or the capital markets product side? How will Religare really position itself in that market?
If you sit back and think, we clearly feel that there are investment bankers from the developed economies. From the emerging country economies, there is going to be 2 or 3 players that are going to emerge as strong global emerging market players. And that is where we see ourselves. So one is to be investment banking just in India, to put up a team just to the Indian portion of it. But there's a limitation to it. There are a lot of big players in it. There's a lot of competition on fees on it. So it's a huge investment where the economic may not work for us if we really sustain us for a longer period of time. So we took a contrarian view. We said, listen, while we specialize in India, why don't we build an emerging market investment banking platform? And that is what differentiates us. So while anybody comes to us for investing in emerging markets, we would be the first choice. Because our research does not only cover Indian companies, would cover Indian companies what as a company that would emerge go into the various emerging markets, how it would perform there, and our coverage will gradually expand to a lot of other companies in the emerging market block. So we are not looked at a singular Indian investment banking company, iBanking company. We're going to be looked at as an emerging market iBanking company. The key differentiation, I think, is, of course, as you rightfully mentioned, are the kind of talent we have hired. The talent that has come in believe in what we are doing. So it's not just, again, I like to stress, the anchor is not monetary. Anchor is belief. Anchor is understanding that what we are doing is unique, is significantly different than other players to do. I think the biggest challenge in these things is also regulatory approvals, where we have, thanks to the talent we have and the patience and the capital you put in there, we have got regulatory approvals in majority of the countries. We have got